See, it just
Awesome.
I'm going to add every one of these and be like, so funny. Okay. Welcome to my podcast because I
Hi.
started a podcast. Like literally was like, oh, I should start a podcast. This is episode 3. And I'm super pumped because Kristen Gulley, who is, I don't know, like I was going to say teammate, but really I just like my friend decided she would join us today and just kind of chat. Kristen, like just like, who are you? Like, where do you come from? Like what's all the things like, so our listeners just like get to know you the way that I feel like I know you too.
Awesome. Well, hello. Thank you for having me. I know I like joked because on Facebook you were like, I'm going to start a podcast. And like the next day you were like, here's my first episode. It started. I'm like, yes, go Anna. Um,
Execution.
yes, I love it. So I'm Kristen. I am a wife and mom of 3. My husband is Paul Gulley. We have been married. We've been dating. He was my first boyfriend. So we're like high school sweethearts. We have 3 awesome kids, Braxton, Colton, and Emmy. They are almost 13, 10, and 7. Our world is consumed with sports and all things sports. Obviously, with lots of real estate and juggling church and just family life. I was born and raised right here in Fuquay, just like you. Paul is a Cary boy. So when Harnett County Kristen started dating that city boy, that was a fun dynamic to throw into the family. But yeah, we're here. We're still here in Fuquay, raising our kids, and that's a little bit about our story.
And how did you get into real estate? Like what pushed you into this crazy world of real estate sales?
So I have always run my own businesses ever since college. Did the corporate thing for like a couple of years, started dabbling in direct sales, and we started our own personal training business. And I always loved real estate. I love the idea of real estate. I loved the like legacy piece to it, that you could build something for your family for generations. I loved looking at houses, all the things. So when we sold our house in February of 2020, and then COVID hit a month later, I got super burnt out just being in healthcare, doing the personal training thing, just with all of the differing opinions and stuff with COVID. And I called a friend that I knew did real estate, and I said, hey, like, I'm thinking about dipping my toes in real estate. Is there like an admin position or anything that I could do just to like just see? And she basically said, Kristen, you are not a toe dipper. You
Yeah.
just need to
No,
do real
you're not.
estate school and get started. And so that's what I did. I started school literally the very next day. It was my birthday, and was a fully licensed agent like 5 weeks later. And I remember getting my first paycheck like 2 weeks after that and thought, holy smokes, I would have trained for hours and hours and hours all month long. And I just got paid an awesome paycheck, and it was one transaction.
Yeah.
And so from there it just kind of took off. So it's been life changing for sure.
Yeah. I was literally just on a call with an agent who is in full-time corporate America. She's been licensed for a year and a half. And, Kristen's we're on the same team. So I've always loved like part-time agents. And sometimes people hear that and they're like, I love it. I think real estate can meet you a lot of different ways, which is actually kind of where I want our conversation to go today anyways. I think this notion of like you only do it the one way that someone told you is the biggest miss in our industry right now. That we have these coaching programs and all the stuff that's built to just kind of create the same entity over and over again in a real estate agent. But we were talking about just like from a financial standpoint, like just the tax benefits of having a real estate license, number one, like the ability to run a business, to be in control of what your tax base looks like, and having all of the incentives that the tax code really builds in specifically for real estate agents. That like it's so wild as you talk about like the magnitude of the paycheck, but then when you really do understand now the control that you have over that money moving forward and the tax protections that you can take and the investments that you can make, it really is kind of, I just think it's amazing. Like the real estate's a legacy piece, but the commission if you apply the commissions correctly, like it's also legacy building and being on the sales side of things here. So I think it's such a backbone to the economy. And I'm so passionate about like people that will say things like that and talk about like it is life-changing, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we're taught like, oh, don't talk about those things, like, you know, stay small, like, you know, kind of keep it behind closed doors. You know, here, obviously we talk about all of it all the time. It's like, no, talk about the opportunity because it's wild. So I have a belief that every real estate agent that is successful, I'm not saying every single real estate agent, but successful real estate agents, I think the number one thing that they don't know that they really are, is actually a leader. Because you have to be able to show up and lead clients at a high level, lead your family, lead yourself first, right? We know that's like the ultimate of leadership is, can you lead yourself? So anytime I've had someone here, you know, this is my third time, my question is always going to be, you know, what moment in your life, and, you know, there may be two, like the one where it wasn't in real estate yet, but, you know, just sometime in your life, but I'm a little interested in the one that's real estate related. Like, do you remember that moment that all of a sudden you realized you were wearing a leadership hat? Like, because no one tells you, no one like puts it on and is like, congratulations, Kristen Gulley, like you're a leader in the real estate space, or you're a leader as an entrepreneur. Like you just kind of like, I think you get past it and you're like, oh gosh, like I am a leader now. And I'm always curious, like, what was the self-awareness for that for you? And like, do you remember when that transition happened? Because you certainly show up that way. So I'm just curious to know, like, when did you become a leader? When did you become aware of that?
I'm like checking for my hat because I'm like, wait, what? I have a leadership hat? I think Allison actually said it on the last podcast, and what she said, I think she said it perfectly. Like it's that like imposter syndrome of like, wait, I am a leader. I mean, obviously, like in my real estate journey, like as I'm learning things, like there are other agents who may come to me, you know, to ask for like advice or like, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or, hey, I trust your opinion. Like, can you, you know, run comps for me? Or like, what do you think about this situation? Even folks who maybe just see the real estate side of things on like Facebook or social media, and maybe they're not in the real estate world, but they're looking to join the real estate world, and they just want to see like how we, you know, juggle all the things and like what that looks like. So I'd say like in the last year to 2 years, like I realized I did have a little more of a presence as someone who was knowledgeable in the space. But as far as like being a leader, you know, I'm like, wait, am I? You know, it's kind of that, you know, it's a tough thing. I think if you do have that leading mentality, like I think it's a tough thing to be like, yeah, I'm a leader. Like
yeah, it's
people
the
are
last thing that you want to say that you are. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think actually what makes a great leader, the one that's apprehensive to it. We talked about this like a lot. I feel like the person that is like, I don't want that. Like, I don't know that I want that. I don't know that I'm capable of that. Like, that is always, I think, who, you know, they become the best versions of leaders because they're coming at it from, I have a deficiency and I need to nurture it and I need to learn because no one teaches you leadership skills. Like, yes, like we had some quirky classes along the way, like, you know, especially like Elon Private Liberal Arts College. Like, I'm sure it was in there, but like, I didn't like take a course on leadership. And like, I certainly didn't take a course on leading a real estate team that was built pretty much on the tail end of a COVID era where the real estate market was bananas. Like no one you have to figure it out.
Right.
And so I think that's like one of the big things too, is like leaders naturally like just kind of figure things out. And whether you know this or not, because you say you have imposter syndrome, like I do feel like you are one of those agents in our space that like you figured it out, and you're obviously always still learning and growing and expanding, but so much of who you are and what you do is very clear. You show up very authentically online. You have a lot of consistency behind that. And I do think you balance a lot of things. So, I mean, just thinking about like who might be listening to this, I think especially like women, like moms, like wives, in the agent space, like I think we always feel like we could be doing something more in one of our departments, right? And so, you know, again, like as the highest of compliments, I feel like when I look at you, I'm like, what a woman who, you know, is so balanced in so many of the ways. And I'd love just to kind of talk about like how, whether you feel like you're there or not, I have to edify you and I have to say that you are in some capacity and you have authority here to share this. So like, How do you feel like that evolution happened for you? Like, was it a long process? Was it something that just clicked one day? Like, was there something that helped you along the way? Because again, I know you're going to say you're not there, but I think you're a lot further along than a lot of others that could really benefit from what you do know. So if you would like just kind of be vulnerable and talk us through like, how have you gotten to be like Kristen Gulley that is Kristen Gulley today?
Yeah, so like you said, we all hate the word balance.
Yep.
It's something I used to use all the time, and I'm like, if I could
Yep.
just find balance, like if I could just figure out like how to balance like my family and like my relationship with Christ and real estate and just all of the things. Like if I could just figure out how to like juggle them and balance them, like I'd be good. Like I'd be happier. I'd be,
Mhm.
fill in the blank, like whatever, more fulfilled, like whatever it was going to be. And I think like a huge turning point for me, just like in the last year, especially since joining like your team, is just that finding that leverage piece, and just knowing that, like I don't have to quote unquote find balance. I think the biggest thing that I've been focused on really the last year and a half is, and not saying I'm perfect at it, but finding more alignment than balance. So align has been like a huge like keyword for me, like just over the last year or so. So anytime I'm doing something, because I'm the yes girl, if you ask me to do something, I will figure out a way to
Yeah.
show up for you and I will be there for you. Even if it meant I had 20 other things I needed to do, like I will rearrange my day and my mindset to figure out how I can like piece every little thing together because I
Mhm.
hate telling people no.
Mhm.
That is how I've always been. I grew up that way. It's how
Mhm.
I was in high school and college, all through early adulthood. So, something that I'm learning is before I say yes, I'm taking that pause, which is really, really hard to do. It feels at times almost selfish because you're like, okay, I got to take my little breath
Mhm.
for myself
Mhm.
and ask myself, like, is this in alignment with like what's important to me? So
Mhm.
obviously that changes given like the season. Right now, I'm very much in a season of I'm building my business and I'm raising my babies. So
Mhm.
if it's not something that's going to move the needle, for like helping my family, or if it's not something that's going to move the needle for my business, then I know like that's not in alignment. And it could be something silly like, hey, I can't go to that birthday party this
Mhm.
weekend.
Yeah.
Or, like I
Not
can't
silly.
I can't like be a room mom, which has been very helpful this year because we're
Yes,
homeschooling.
you are room
Um,
mom.
yes, I am all the things. But it's things like that. Like, hey, like I can't sign up to bring snacks to soccer. Like there's 10
Mhm.
other capable, parents who can do that. So it's just figuring out the alignment piece, and even internally, like within business, like if something with business is presented to me, I always look at it through the scope of, is this going to fit into like my family dynamic?
Mhm.
I think so much before I was like building my business and building my business because I had to make income for my family and I had to provide for my family. Um, and so my family was kind of fitting into the nooks and crannies of they were getting the leftovers is
Right.
really the
Yeah.
best way to put it. So now I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, how can my business fit into my family?
Right.
So do I have time to cold call, 100 people? Because that used to be how I built my business. And I would sit on the phone and call and call and call and call and call. And I would convert and I would find business that way, but that was hours of time that took up my day.
Mhm.
Um, Now since homeschooling, I really don't have that time. Like I'm like,
Mhm.
I try to time block and time manage as much as you can, but the second I'll go to sit down to make the calls, that's when someone needs help with a math problem or, someone's, you know, needs food or lunch or
Yeah.
whatever. And so what that looks like for me now is finding alignment in my business. Maybe we're on the ball field and building relationships with other parents, wearing, silly things like wearing my real estate hat,
Mhm.
wearing my like real estate t-shirt, like just having that in natural daily conversations. So that I'm building my business while doing things that align with my life,
Right.
on the basketball court and on the baseball fields and things like that.
Yeah. And I think that it's such a great example. So that's how my business was built. And I was fortunate, like I got licensed about two years before Trip came, or a year before Trip came. Then I had like the year of the newborn baby, which like we know like the babies are it's the easiest phase to like grow your business in, right? So it wasn't until 2021 where Trip's now 3, and I had twins that I delivered, at the beginning of the year. But so much of like life, it was so integrated. Like my clients were my friends, and my friends became my clients, and I also like, and again, this is not like we're not sitting a billboard out for like, don't make cold calls. Like, please understand, like, we are not like, neither of us are saying like, don't do it. I'm just saying like, there comes a point where I'm very thankful that business from the very beginning showed up that way. It was integrated into my community. And some of that's a testament to like working in the market that you grew up in. So if you're listening to this and that's your story and you're not doing that, and I'm very passionate about that, like that's an avenue it's worth looking at. Now, if you're an agent that's relocated to a new market and you're not a good social engineer, as I call ourselves sometimes, like, it's gonna be a different path. That's why I love real estate can show up a bunch of different ways. But I think that's the word. It's integration, not balance. It's not work-life balance. It's just work-life integration. And if I can do those things at the same time, I just don't ever feel like I hit that burnout stage. Like I just don't ever feel like I really don't. I don't grow tired of what I do most days, because so much of life and work and who we are is all meeting in the same playing field. And there's a lot of power behind that. And I think it's one of the big benefits to being in entrepreneurship, like you are building it for yourself. So why do you want to go play in a space that's not, adjacent to the things that you're really doing it for, right? Which is for most of us, our families, our children, our legacies, things like that. So I think that's so huge. You said alignment. So I'll go there. I used to feel, and you walked through this perfectly, wealthy, rich people value money, right? So I think the first iteration of being in an entrepreneurship is like, you have to have capital. Like,
Right.
Like, I don't know about you. Like I was a solo breadwinner for my family. Like if I didn't have a commission coming in, like my kids were not eating, like there was no like backup contingency plan. So I don't want it to sound as though I don't value the importance of money, especially early on in building. But the next thing that I feel like when I moved into more of a wealth mindset was I wanted my time back, which is what we've talked about. Like, how do I get that time back? And now I feel like, much like you, I'm in this period now where it's like time's valuable, but if I have time and it's still kind of a slow leak out of my energy just because I have the extra time, I'm still missing the boat. So I've been very focused on alignment and how do I find myself in alignment? Do you have strategies that you use, whether it's like, customer screening or like your tech stack that you're working through or social media? Like, do you have ways that you feel like you can, other than just taking that pause, like what are you kind of scanning for to say like, hey, this feels like it's in alignment with what I want to do? What's kind of your litmus that you go to there?
So, one thing that I've tried to be really diligent about even this year is prior to this year, social media was taking up a lot of my time. Um, just getting on, you go to post, you're scrolling. And I'm like, man, I just wasted so much time.
Mhm.
And I knew going into this year, because I wanted to be very intentional with everything aligning just into my day to day life, that I needed to be present on social media. Everyone's on social media. Like I knew that needed to be a consistent thing. So one thing that I've been doing just to like capitalize on time is basically making all of my posts on Monday morning. And so by Monday morning, by I would say like 10:30, 11 o'clock, I've done all of my social media posts for the entire week through Sunday. And they're like usually scheduled, like ready to go. And that's something that I feel like, talking about that litmus test, like if I find myself on social media or I'm back into this like bad habit of like, I'm going to post and make my videos every day, I can already feel like I'm out of whack
Yeah.
because the other works so much better. So that's one thing. As far as like clients, I will take a client. I don't care if I'm driving hours. Like if it's someone that I feel like happy to help. And we all know we have those clients
Mhm.
that drain our energy, and we have clients that I don't know if you've ever read The Energy Bus, but it's one of my
Mhm.
favorite books. Um, if I feel like I've been on the phone call with someone for the first time and I get off that phone call and I'm like, okay, that was a lot. That's probably not someone that I'm going to want to spend, unfortunately, a ton of time with, because we do
Mhm.
have to protect our energy. I've gotten into habits years in the past when I first started real estate of working with clients for years and years and years and feeling like I had to help them. And you do have to come from a place of where you want to help people in this industry, but at some point you can't help people who don't want to be helped. And so
Mhm.
that's one thing, like, I feel like I'm really discerning of, and I try to discern quickly, is if I don't feel like someone's going to help themselves and they're almost like self sabotaging in a way, there's nothing I can do to help. And I can't put that like burden on me or feel like I've failed them because there's nothing I can do.
Absolutely. And I think that is, I mean, that's another one of those just social proofs of leadership, right? Because like we know as leaders, like we have, and I was just talking to another agent about this, like you have to make sure that like you are on your feet and you're stable and you are good. Because you cannot be the impact to the other person to make them happy. I can solve the tactical problems. I can get the paths forward. I can't make you feel good about them. I always
Right.
remind people of that. Like I can find the solutions out. One of my favorite scripts is, hey, I might keep you in the dark on something for 24 hours because I'm not going to come to you with a problem that I don't at least have a roadmap for to say like how bad it is or what we're going to expect to see 3 days from now with this problem popping up, even if we're solutionless at that point. But I cannot make you feel good about it. Like I can present all of the evidence, I can give you the best vendors, I can give you all the support in the world, but ultimately the way that you decide you feel about it is a you thing. And I think that's a big like leadership tenet of like I can do my job to the best of my ability, but I cannot be the source of happiness, comfort, all the things for other people all of the
Right.
time if I really want to be able to work in an advisory like role, right? And I don't think people hire us to just make them feel good, right? I mean, they could hire a therapist that would probably be much more skilled to
Wait,
just
you
be
mean we're
their
not?
therapist. No, we are. That's why I'm
Okay.
saying if that's the most important skill set that we have is being a therapist, then I think there is a point where like, I don't know, maybe we should start doing this, just like hiring out contract therapists for the duration of transactions and
There
let
you
them
go.
talk about their problems there. Because like you're hiring us for our skill set and our market knowledge and our marketing skill set and all of those things. And yes, we oftentimes do serve as that therapist, and I don't mind it, but I can't that can't be the primary reason that I'm in your world during a real estate transaction because that's not in alignment with who I am. And for some other agents it is, and that's why real estate can be done a lot of different ways, I think. But for me, and I know for you too, it's very much about the advisory role of helping them reach that point of here's a piece of real estate that's a legacy for your family, not just, let's make you feel good through the process.
Absolutely.
What are some other books that are on your shelf? What are your other go-tos? You
Uh,
mentioned Energy Bush,
I've, I've got so the energy bus. Yes. I like that one. Rhinoceros Success is also a really, really good one. Way back in the day, I used to put a little rhino in all of my like marketing and everything. That was solely from that book. My all-time favorite is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mhm,
It's a little bit of a dry read, but I try to
mhm,
read that honestly like once a year.
mhm.
It's just a good reminder of like how you can impact people and how you can make people feel, just how you present yourself. Those are probably my top three. I always say chop wood, carry water is another really good one. Although someone recently has told me I need to smash my buckets and build irrigation systems.
Fun.
And so that one does teach carrying buckets. But I understand understanding more now, building irrigation systems and letting my business work for me instead of having to do all the manual work all the time and
Yeah.
carrying those buckets. So
Right. We've all been, I think agents that have, because again, guys, like for perspective, and I don't know how teams impact this. So I can't say like 100%. I know this to be a hard fact, but the data shows that 70% of real estate agents didn't sell a house last year, not one. A lot of people don't realize this in the market that we're in. Everyone, when we talk about down markets, everyone goes back to '08, right? '09, like everyone talks about that period. It's just this catastrophic season in real estate. And like, I lived through that very personally. Like, I understand. I'm not degrading that. What I'm saying is we still had year over year sales, like have never been worse, like than they were 24, 25. So not like prices and not distressed situations, but just the sheer number of transactions that existed in 1 year's time, they cut in half. And all the while, real estate agent after real estate agent was being licensed, real estate agent number after real estate agent number. So I think to help people that are listening, really understand the context of where we are right now as far as our market goes, like it's been wonky couple of years. I'm not saying that there have not been seasons in my growth, in my build out, and seasons in yours where, baby, I was picking up every freaking bucket that I could get my hands on. And so, like, I think what the problem is if there is no conversation, this is why this podcast really exists. Because whether it's like team leadership scaling or just like level 2 or just finding leverage or finding alignment, that's what we want to help agents understand is like, if you just carry buckets and you don't know that there is something coming eventually at the end of the bucket carrying process, that's why I think we see such terrible attrition rates. And it's why you see very successful real estate agents just peace out sometimes, because it's exhausting. Carrying buckets is exhausting. We're
absolutely.
not saying you don't do it. I've been a bucket carrier, but
Yeah.
if no one would have shown me another way to do it once my initial like survival was covered and that I was in a safe, like stable position, that's the worst of it, is that I would have sacrificed my children's first couple years of life building something that if someone would not have shown me a better way, I would have been out, because I have my board on my wall of my 55 homes that I sold by myself in a year with like one admin support towards the end of the year. And like, I was on the like delivery table for I was 9 months pregnant at 3 of those closings. Like, look at what I sacrificed. If no one would have said, let's build an irrigation system now so you can put some of these buckets down, I don't know that I would be sitting here having these conversations right now. I'd probably be carrying buckets in some other capacity somewhere else, trying to build something again. Because again, you and I know this, we're both serial entrepreneurs. It's not like I was going to corporate America.
No.
But I would have been like, oh, this doesn't work. Let me go pick up buckets in a different part of the world. And I don't know, it's a little scary that there's people out there that don't understand. There is going to come a day where the buckets have to be minimized. The buckets have to go away. And we have to start figuring out another way to move forward. So it's really exciting to hear that you feel like you're kind of moving into that realm.
No, it's been fun. That's one thing I've been trying to be very intentional about just in the last couple of months, like figuring out how I can show up and build those irrigation systems so that my business is working, for me. It's not because I'm having to work harder. Because I do feel like in those moments of burnout, it's like, okay, I'm feeling burnt out because it's not because I don't love what I'm doing. It's because I'm committing myself to doing too much. And it's kind of that like, Robert Kiyosaki, like work harder or work smarter, not harder kind of mentality. And so that's something that I'm really like trying to focus on, especially this year. And even though it is a down market, we are all trying to find business, I think we'll be rewarded down the road if we have those systems in place.
Absolutely. I saw this because when we just did a post about this. So earlier in the year, the predictions for transaction count was significantly better. So, I mean, NAR, and again, NAR is realtors, so it's in their best interest to have good predictions, right? They were talking about like 14% increases, right? 24 to 25, it was literally flatline transaction count wise. And again, like we were talking about half of the transactions that we saw even in 22. And that's when, of course, obviously from a market standpoint, we saw rates and inflation really catch up to what was going on. I think what's interesting is they've really dialed back the predictions. But I saw this quote and I thought it was so interesting. They said, if you have not built the systems, or if you've not found the smarter ways to work over the last 2 years, it will not matter when the market comes back. And this is one thing that we're seeing is, the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the agents are handling 80% of the business. I think here in the Triangle, it's like 95-5, right? Like, it's unbelievable how many agents have high market share. I think that in some ways, kind of the neighborhood, like one-off mom pop kind of real estate agent that's going and doing a couple transactions a year, I do think that it's getting a little bit harder to take that path. But I think that it's still very possible with the right like leverage and tools and things like that. What do you see from your standpoint being an everyday? Like, what do you feel like are those like must-haves to like stay relevant in the market today? Like, if you were talking to an agent who's feeling like, "Ugh, I feel like I'm getting close to not having this pipeline. I don't know where I'm going next." What do you feel like are those tools that are something they can tap into and see actual results from right now?
I know we all like hate this, but I do think social media is a necessity. Even if you're not posting reels or like trending videos, like when someone looks you up, like if people go on Chat GPT and they cannot say who are the top real estate agents in Fuquay, if your name's not popping up, like you have to have some sort of presence online, whether it's just Google reviews or a Facebook page where people are putting reviews. Like, you have to have some sort of online presence because everyone's going online and on social media for everything these days. And especially in a growing Chat GPT, Claude AI world, like, you've got to figure out how to like have your name be present on those things. And that's something I actually just asked my Claude the other day. I was like, who are the top agents in Fuquay? Like, and he pulled up his list and I was not on the list. And I said, how do I get on the list? Like, what do I need to do? And he told me all the things that they pull that information on. So now I'm hitting those areas hard. And in 6 months, we'll reevaluate and see what happens. But I do think, as much as I hate my phone and I hate social media, like, I feel like that's what you got. You just got to do it.
One of them, I know. I think that it is, and I've done the same thing. I have on my 12-week year. I had it last one, this one too, like 45 minutes to an hour every single week of just of the AI optimization, right? And the suggestions that we're getting for what we're adding to the websites and what's going on to our Google pages and all the things that we're trying to do is like, it's all coming back to consumer problems and how do we solve them? That's it. That's what's driving the information. Yes, the reviews are super important. And I think that's one place that like personally, like I just always got behind, was on that. But the solving people's problems, like we're really good at it actually. Like you're really good at it. I think agents miss the marketing piece because instead of making that their very active voice in their social media platform, we see things like just sold, like we see the top 25, like, and like, listen, like we're so proud of that, right? Like we are like, there's what, 14,000 real estate agents in the Triangle. That's down from 20K. Our team, like we are literally one of the top 25 like real estate agents in the Triangle area. It's something to be super proud of. It doesn't solve a problem for the consumer. And I think while we are really good at being a problem solver one-to-one for our clients, I don't think agents are often really good at marketing that. I think you are really good at marketing that. You're good at speaking to the problem and connecting with that. Was there a moment that you realized that was just a better strategy? Like what, like, did it evolve? Like, were you once the girl that was like, I sold a house and that was what you were posting, and now it looks different because you realized that there was more merit in this new strategy?
Absolutely. So up until like pretty much this year, I was the girl who was like, just listed this, just sold this, like I'm doing this house tour, which people like house tours, like they like to see houses. I feel like that's important. But like they don't care what you just listed. They do not care that you just sold 10 houses. They don't care, about all these little benchmarks that you as an agent, other agents might care, or they may get the green, green-eyed little bug to say like, well, isn't that great? Kristen sold, 8 houses last month. Like, those things are fun and they're cool and all the things, but that's not what people are Googling, or that's not what people are putting into their search boxes. What they're putting into their search boxes, and what kind of made me shift my mindset on this, is when we bought a house, what were the things that like I was Googling? Like, I was looking up, best neighborhoods in Fuquay, or the top areas to live in. I wanted to know that piece to it. And so that kind of got me thinking, like, okay, well, what are other people looking for? Like, yes, this video of me making fun of the buyer's dad for coming to an inspection, it's hysterical, and sure, people may think it's funny, but what are they actually going to look up? They're going to look up like top problems that might pop up on your inspection report. That's
Right.
more than likely the things that they're going to be looking for. And so I've kind of switched my social media this year to more all educational pieces. And I have seen a drastic difference in going from kind of fun, trendy, like, look what I'm doing, to like, here's the actual educational insight that you need to know if you're buying or selling. Um, Prior to this, I would say very rarely, like in 4 or 5 years, did I have anyone ever reach out to me through social media. It was usually all very lead driven business or like word of mouth. It was not social media. This year, I've had at least 7 people just in the last 2 months, I would say, reach out and say, like, hey, like, we saved your post. Like, we're thinking about listing. We've been watching you this year. Like, we love the like information that you give. Like, we shared it to our friend. They don't even live in this state, but like, we shared it to a friend. And it's stuff like that. Like, you don't even realize people are doing. I had like random people tag me right before we hopped on this call, and they were like, check out Kristen's page. Like, she's got tons of like important information or like insightful information. I have no idea who that person is. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know who they were. And they tagged like some
It's your
random
irrigation system,
person,
Kristen.
So I'm like, yay, my water's running. So yeah, it's stuff like that I think is important, like seeing that shift. And that's not to say you can't, you need to showcase homes you've listed. And of course, like, you're gonna tell people that you've sold a house because they want to see you like in the market share and that you're
Yeah,
working.
quality. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they're more concerned on the educational piece and how you can best serve them if they chose you as their agent.
Yeah, we are in they talk about this, and the algorithm has changed as a result of it, but like, we are in the information age now. And so that older influencer style of just like, hey, here's the product and I made it look super good, so now you're going to be emotional and attached to it, is kind of gone. And people are very interested in like the information age that we're in. And I think social media is huge for that. And this is one thing I'll say too, is we talk about like AI and stuff that's changing. I can sit there all day long and I can ask, I can ask Chad, I can ask Claude, what should I be putting in my things? Like, what are consumers asking? And yes, they can look and see what digitally is happening. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I think agents forget, we talked about this actually on Empower yesterday, is that you have human moments in the transaction that the internet never gets. And they are the kind of unhinged emails at like midnight and all the reasons that we talked about people needing therapists, right? One of the things that I always encourage agents to do is like, yes, it's great to go on and see what people are looking for. It's great to go on and see what's trending. But we know at our core from being in production, like, what are the moments that are gut wrenching to clients along the way? And where is the doubt? And where does the issues start to creep in? And I think that we sometimes will just be like, I got to get through this. Like, I got to get this solved for these people. And I think the smart, savvy agent is taking 5 seconds to just make a note, whether it's dropping it into your GBT or whatever it may, or just jotting it down in a journal, or just making a voice memo or something, so that like maybe weekly you come back and you say, here's all the places that my clients, like, as a human being, struggled this week, because that's access that the third party sites are never going to have access to. Oh. That's data and information that, like, yes, like most of these third party sites are just paying for it. It's like data, like surge. How much data can we get our hands on? The data that we have access to is so much more like it makes decisions in sales at a higher level, and they will never have access to those things. So,
Yeah.
and that's what I see your social media speak to, are those kind of quiet moments when you know that a buyer has had a problem. Let me go ahead and address that for you here. And again, the third-party sites would kill to have the data points that are existing in our world and in our inboxes and in our text messaging. And I'd be very challenged to say, like, it's Zillow bought, Zillow bought Follow Boss, which is why our company is now over on Lofty. And yes, like, obviously I think they're very interested in like how many clicks are things getting and how fast are consumers coming back to the website and all of those major data points. It's why we've seen all of these mergers and acquisitions over the last few months, even in real estate. But I don't know. I think at some point they're going to have to start looking at and seeing like what's the consumer sending in these messages to agents, like what's being said, because we have access to moments that move the needle in ways that like the third party sites never get their hands on. Never.
And I think too, like in a world that is so AI driven, like you know how it is. Like everybody's AI. Like sometimes I wonder when I get text messages, I'm like, did they ask for like Chat GPT to like figure out how to send this back? Like
yeah, they sure did.
And so I think that like where like ChatGPT and like that AI, it is important. Like we all do need to know how to use it. I think that moving forward, that human connection piece is going to be even more important. Like showing up so vulnerably on social media, and it doesn't always have to be. And I'm speaking to myself on this, like so crisp and polished and perfect. Like just go on, like tell the crazy stories. Tell like what you're seeing in the everyday market. It makes it more real. And I feel like people are going to be more connected to that and more connected to you than just another like perfectly polished AI, like teleprompted thing. Sometimes you see people that are like so like perfect on social media and you're like, is this one of those like AI people, that you can like create now to do all their things? And you're like, are they real? I'm like, if I have to watch you for more than 2 seconds to figure out if you're a real person or not, like you're probably not someone I'm going to connect with like in real life. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think that's it, is like the connective tissue that's going to keep our businesses moving forward is going to be the ability to have that human connection. The flip side to that is we've got to find all the places that are draining us, right? And causing a lack of alignment and balance and all the things that like real estate agents have been drugged down by having all the paperwork and all of the this and all of the that. Like that's the thing that makes me so excited about where we're going, is I think we'll be able to finally do what we do so well. And I think we'll be able to do just that, because if you've been in real estate over the last, 2 decades, like it's become to a point where you are running 18 businesses in one. And it's been really hard. And what has suffered, because it was easier to let that go, I think, was that human connection. So I'm really excited for I think what will be coming in our industry, where the people that are really succeeding will be the ones that are good at that. And I know you will be succeeding because you are good at that. Any last minute like things that you just feel like, if there's an agent listening who's like struggling, because I'm going to title this, on balance is not what you think it is, like what you're really looking for is alignment, like any good little piece of advice for someone that was in your shoes a couple years ago, to help them find that next level. Not that they'll be done, because we're going to always be pursuing the next
we're
level.
always
But
looking
that
for the next level.
kind of like revelation of like, oh, this can look different. Any advice you would leave them?
The biggest thing, my life verse is Lamentations 3:22-23. Just know God's mercies are new every single morning. So if it's been like a day where you feel like you failed your family or failed your business or your clients or whatever, just know like tomorrow's a fresh start, and you get to do it all over again the next day, and it's fresh.
That's right. Fresh and new every morning. I love that. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. I know you're so busy. You're so busy pursuing your balance. So thank you for working.
My balance today is I have a soccer game of my own tonight. That's like the one fun thing I get to do for myself. And I'm going to go play basketball with my children. I promised them that after this, they would have mom the rest of the day. So
that's awesome. Amazing. Well, go enjoy that time. Thank you for sharing with us. And guys, stick around. We'll get another one loaded with some more real estate insight to just kind of keep you moving through all the motions and keep you relevant. So
Perfect.
thanks, Kristen.